All right, guys, this is going to be game number 2 of the Terran versus Terran portion of this show match. Scan here in the bottom left of Ascension and Gypsy in the bottom right. Scan was able to beat Gypsy in game 1. He went with the 3-factory Vulture play, and Gypsy took a bit too much damage, and then Scan just kind of took control with it very, very well. An extremely well and precisely played game from Scan, and you could see how hard it was there for Gypsy. I think the build that Gypsy opened with is a fine build. He didn't quite get his Vultures back in time. He didn't defend quickly enough. And I'm actually hoping that he goes for like a 3-factory Vulture game this time, because I mean, Gypsy is actually really good at 3-factory Vulture. He can really pump it out. It's actually one of the hardest things to macro in the entire game, and the reason for that is Vultures cost 2 supply and they take 19 seconds to build. A supply depot takes 25 seconds to build, right? So the math on how to add it, it's like you can't do something like, okay, you're building 1 depot at a time. It's like, well, every 3 rounds you need a second depot, and then 2 rounds after that you need an additional depot. That type of thing occurs with Vultures, whereas a lot of other units just macro a little bit more cleanly. So it can be tricky, because sometimes you should be building 1 depot, sometimes you should be building 2. Like, look, for instance, Goliath's very simple. They have the same build time as a depot, so as long as you start your depot before the Goliath, you're good to go. Anyways, that being said, Ascension is a Vulture map. Just because a map is a certain way doesn't mean you have to play it that way, but it's certainly a map where Vulture containments are very powerful because of these ramps. Walking up ramps, clearing mines is incredibly hard. If you have a bunch of mines there and you're missing shots on them, you won't even clear it, and you'll just be stuck. You'll be fighting Vultures on high ground that you're missing half shots against as well. So definitely a map where you have to think about that heavily. So you have to either really counter Vultures with like a Wraith or something, or you need to go Vultures yourself, some move like that. Okay, so both are going gas here once again. And yeah, I mean, they're both going to go factory expand, I would guess. It would be really surprising to see anything else. Factory being started there by Scan, and Gypsy just like a half second behind on his. Barracks pumping out the Marine, both sides scouting. Scan going to find Gypsy on his first try. Gypsy finding Scan on the second. And yeah, the barracks going to start flying towards each other now, kind of like overlords in ZVZ. So shouldn't be anything like, there shouldn't be like any big scuffles or anything early on in this game. It's a long way to get across the map, so I don't think we're going to really see much of anything until speed upgrades are done for Vultures. But of course, we'll see if they're actually going to go for those builds. Command center going down. It's always an interesting thing, isn't it? Like if you watch a pro gamer, all their buildings are just a little bit quicker than people below them. Like, look at that, right? It's what, 10 seconds quicker? That's almost an SCV, right? SCVs take 13 seconds to build, so are you just going to get up in SCV now? Yeah, probably. Ooh, does get that scout, so that's very nice. First Vulture out into add-on here for Scan. Does have 2 on gas, so yeah, it looks like this is most likely going to be for Vulture production. He needs to get enough gas to add factories and get that speed over time. Okay, no add-on yet here. He is sending Vultures across the map. 3 Vultures. Oh, okay, this could end up being a Goliath build, but you can actually go 3-4 Vultures before your add-on as well. There's no problem with doing that in TVT. Now, he comes out and meets the barracks with his Marines. I think these Marines will turn around. They're just getting some extra damage on the barracks. And sometimes this lures out a Vulture to try to kill them, and you hide your Vultures and then go kill their Vultures if they come out to kill your Marines. He's actually bringing them forward. Interesting. I'm not... Okay, well, I guess if you go no add-ons and you have this ramp, you have some opportunities because you have that high ground advantage, right? Gonna pull back to his Marines. 3 factory here for Scan. Still 2 factory for Gypsy. Yep, he's going into the Goliath build. And he's trying to get some early damage done. Now, he's he's picking off some vultures, right? He's getting some SCVs and stuff. That was pretty good. I think this was really good by Gypsy overall. The one thing that makes me nervous about it is he's going to switch to Goliath production. How many vultures will he have left over? 4. And I think those are probably Goliaths. Yeah, you know what? He's going to be completely fine. He should bring these vultures home. Because you can't, like, if you trade out all of your vultures, 2 Goliaths don't have enough surface area to block vultures from running in, and they don't have enough damage output to kill them quickly enough. Whereas if you have a few vultures left over with your Goliaths, your opponent's vultures can't just run by. So that's where you don't, even if it's only, like, if you trade these 4 for 4 more from him, but 3 come over and run by your Goliaths, you lose, like, every SCV. So it's just something you have to keep in mind. Okay, so he's clearing the eggs right now. We'll see if he goes starport from here. Looks like, oh, 52 of 52 for scan, guys. There it is, the supply block. Better than the 44, but the 52, that's painful as well. Okay, so 3 factories going, and Academy on the way. Oh, double add-on after 4 Goliaths. That's totally fine. You can absolutely play the Goliath build like this. In fact, I like this version of it where you sit defensively with the Goliaths and then you go into siege tanks from there. But we don't see anything like a starport yet. He does have the second gas, so definitely can produce a lot of tanks. I'm excited by the build Gypsy's using. It's cool to see his take on this build. But it looks like he'll add some factories here. Looks like he wants to get his macro really flowing. Now, one of the builds you can do with this that was very trendy, like how long ago? I would say a month. No, maybe 2 months ago or 2.5 months ago. There was a very trendy build where you would kind of open like this and you'd go into, like, I believe it is 4 siege tanks, 4 Goliaths, and then mass speed vultures with mines behind that. And basically the Goliaths and tanks with some scans help you clear mines. And you just rally in vultures while your opponent is trying to switch into siege tanks. And you take map control like that. And if they battle with their vultures incorrectly at all, you overwhelm them. So that might be the build that Gypsy is going to be showing us here. Over on Scan's side, he does have the double add-on, so we should see siege tank production start. It looks like a very similar build to last game. You can see that dropship coming out. Looks like he does want to drop some vultures into the main base of Gypsy. We see Gypsy doesn't really have defense here. Yeah, he doesn't have much of anything to stop that. Okay, the first scan comes up. And of course, as he sees those units over there, he knows he can get this drop off beautifully. He's going to slow depots. He's going to kill SCVs. This drop's going to be fantastic. All right, gets in. That's good damage. That's definitely worth the SCVs. But Gypsy has a lot of units on the map. The thing is, the mines are so well spread. It's like you have to attack move part way, and if any of the mines actually start hitting you and your units, it's going to make attacking really difficult. Also, Scan has these siege tanks coming out now. God, just some more damage being dealt. Gypsy way far behind in supply now. He does have his third base on the way ahead of Scan once again. So that's one thing we see Gypsy doing very, very well. Another dropship loading up. Oh, you might go for the natural then. Gypsy's army's so far forward. Yeah, let's see what he can get done. Goes into this natural. This is really painful because these vultures, like, this is the best type of trade you can get right now. It's fantastic. It's like a mine did end up killing off a Goliath there. Oh! Walks through a couple of them, unfortunately. You can see the frustrations of playing against a pro Terran in this matchup, man. Scan just controlling everything with his 3 factory opener. Yeah, the drop coming over. He's ready for it this time. So it looks like that's probably the end of drops for a while, but he kept the dropship alive, which is really, really good. Gypsy with the 3rd CC finishing up, as this one is about 2/3 done. So he'll catch up a little bit economically with that, but not all the way. Definitely Scan still in charge. And I think at this point, what we're going to see from Scan is probably a containment. If you just kind of siege up I mean, he could siege here, but he might just siege, like, in this diagonal line across the ramp. So if you come down the ramp, you get hit, right? Like, he'd want the edge of his range to be there if he goes diagonally. Otherwise, he can just use the high ground as well. If you use the high ground, there is a way for him to slip down here, but you can fix that with a few tanks there. All right, so he just utilizes the high ground. So this area is a no-go for Gypsy. Of course, there are other paths on Ascension. It takes a while to get a full containment up. Scan's starting to add another factory. Oh, going into Wraiths as well. Very, very cool play. Very technical from him to go into Wraiths from here. There are already Goliaths out, so we'll see where he chooses to utilize those Wraiths. Starport coming up. Scanning Gypsy a little bit. Some mines over at that 4th. The drop comes in once again. Very annoying. SCV's pulled away. You lose a lot of mining time there, by the way. Look at this. The Vulture's running into the 3rd. Scan just sacking Vultures everywhere for economic damage. Okay. So at the end of that, we are at a 30 supply deficit for Gypsy. Well, a lot of that's in SCVs, as you can see. But he is going into Wraiths, which don't add, like, a lot of muscle. But I don't think he needs more muscle than what he has right now. Like, this army that Gypsy has does not break those tanks. The spread is too healthy, and they're on high ground. So, looks like Gypsy just going to siege himself. Taking a more forward area. Oh, he's starting to make Wraiths off of one port. So this is the worst thing that Gypsy could be doing, unfortunately. Of course, he doesn't know that. I guess, actually, the one Wraith coming out right now, the only anti-air that Scan has is his Wraiths, so he'll probably show them now. But yeah, that... Like, making less Wraiths than your opponent is not good, because the Wraiths just get absolutely destroyed. There's not a lot of recourse to that. Alright, here come these Wraiths. There are 3 Goliaths out, so Gypsy's not going to just... I don't think he'll just GG from here. He is behind. But the position's still pretty playable, right? Like, he's got a good amount of factories. He's macroing up. The Wraiths, they aren't the end of the world. He's got time to respawn now. They aren't being that active. And now you see, this is where Scan starts to just mass expand. It's really nice to see, actually, right? Like, Scan plays really heavy on 2 base with 3 fact for a bit, gets some damage in, starts to get into siege mode, gets a 3rd base. It's kind of like a slow buildup, and then suddenly it's like, okay, let's expand everywhere, go Wraiths, go mass siege tanks, and just dominate from there. Gypsy getting a 4th CC setup. Just 5 facts right now against the 6 facts of his opponent. Oh, mass dropship. That could be a killing move, actually. This game is probably going to end when that drop occurs. You can see Gypsy pulling his tanks out. Like, he's got to bring units to the front because he has to think about breaking out, but Scan is going to punish that as well. Like, double starport dropship is going to be just a brutal move. Some Valkyries being added in. Okay. Not a bad idea. Not going to be able to break out down here. Oh, God. Terrible situation. Look at this. As the Goliaths try to help him break out, the Wraiths come over and immediately eliminate a tank. We should see the dropships. I don't think you want to go more than 6. 6 is a lot. It's going to be like 30 supply or so in those dropships. Being dropped off. Where'd they go? Where are they? Oh, there they are. Okay, he actually flew them like too close up here. You want to keep these kind of on the side. Now, Gypsy, yeah, he's got like 2 Valkyries and a Wraith. That won't do anything against the dropships. So Scan is gonna get this drop off. He should bring his Wraiths in here as well for some backup. Yeah, okay, Gypsy sees what's coming, and he's starting to come in now. All right, sieging up. He's going to be able to clear this. It's a mostly Vulture drop. I mean, you may as well. You do want to use those up. Not as effective. Like, if he had gone for more tanks and Goliaths rather than Vultures, it might have been a game ender, and it might still be a game ender, honestly. Like, the amount of containment he has. Look at this force scan, okay? Turrets everywhere. Siege tanks, turrets. This is the only area out for Gypsy's going through there. So, yeah, he GG's. Scan takes game number 2 and will take the series overall on map score. But we do have one more game to see if Gypsy can pick up a TVT here.